how you doing?
Good, man.
Yeah?
We're all right. It is just my experience then.
Yeah.
Some of it's great and some of it's a bit... right,
Yeah.
I will try not to swear. Hi, my name's Michael Roberts. I'm from Birmingham, now live in London. Okay, so my first experience of Hep C was I was in prison. I'm an ex-substance misuser. So I was working in the kitchens. I think I was doing a 3-year prison sentence, and I ended up number 1 in the kitchen. And I think there was something wrong with me. I had a blood test. I came back from work one dinner time, and there was a piece of paper saying you're sacked from the kitchen because you are Hep C positive. Didn't know what it was. What I thought at the time and what other people thought and what I'd heard was something that's going to kill you, very similar to AIDS. That's what I believed. It's something in my blood. I didn't know what it was. There was no further interactions with the doctor. I'd been sacked from the kitchen. People was complaining about me. I had to move wings when I got out of prison. But I didn't care. Just I'm going to die, and I'm going to definitely die high. And ultimately that led me to homelessness because I just didn't know what it was. It stopped me getting into relationships or having children at an earlier age. There was no other pathway explained to me where I can go and get help.
How did that make you feel?
Like dying most days. I didn't care. The more drugs that I used, the closer I was hoping to come to just dying. I didn't feel. I just felt like crap about myself. Just because I thought I'm dying and I don't want this to kill me, I'd rather die using heroin and crack. That was my preferable choice of substances. I was sleeping in a subway in Birmingham. I was wanted for a minor, it's like a £70 shoplifting. And there was a police officer, and I'm friends with him now, and we talk quite often, but he kicked me in the face while I was asleep to wake me up. What are you doing that for? There's no overreaction, because I don't want to catch a disease from my footwork. And speaking would have worked too, you know what I mean? 4 or 5 years ago, I went for a blood test for an abscess in my mouth. At this stage, I'd had treatment for Hep C. I was a volunteer for the Hep C Trust. I cleared it, and getting this blood test, the nurse is looking at his laptop and he's literally put a cannula in my arm, looked and left the room and come back in a full hazmat suit with a mask on saying you're Hep C positive. I'm frightened to catch it. You just expect the NHS to know that stuff, but they don't have to, all the people have fears of blood and it might be their thing, but I thought if that was my first interaction with any kind of service and that was my diagnosis and somebody's putting a suit on, I would never engage, I wouldn't come for treatment, I wouldn't, so that interaction's awful, doesn't need to happen, and we lose people because of interactions like that. It keeps people away from services engaging and makes you feel worse than you already do, and you feel pretty awful most of the time anyway, so. Do I think things may have been different if there was more information available? I think absolutely 100% it would have been very different. That information would have given me the ability to make a decision, look at services, look where I go and get help from, and it would have probably changed the pathway of my life. I know that I stayed using for a lot longer than it was ever needed because I didn't have the information and I didn't know it was a curable disease. So if that was available, then yeah, things would have 100% been different. If I hadn't got the help and support from services with treated for Hep C, I'd still be out there. I'd just be a stat. I'd be somebody that's been lost along the way. Nobody would know my name. I'd just be another death. And it's just not necessary. There is a way out. There are people out here trying, and we're not all judgmental. I was 7 stone, long hair, endocarditis, covered in crap, and not looking very well. And rolling the tape forward, this is what I look like. I know that I look healthy and I know that I've got a worth, so I think that just be empathetic, be understanding, be patient. I don't think it's worth giving up on anybody. Everybody's got a value, and yeah, I think I'll end it there. Yeah, go. I don't need a round of applause. Thank you. You're amazing, man. It's funny. Thank you.